מעניין, נלמד, נכיר. סוף סוף GitHub הגיע לישראל. Welcome. I'm Jan, nice to meet you. GitHub has finally arrived in Israel.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for taking the time tonight to be here with us and to engage with us. We have until 8:15, 8:30 time. We have here from LM Toolbox, Tamir, our partner here in Israel, who will say something as well. We have Nissan, correct, who will hold a little guest lecture. And thank you very much as well to Nisha. Ravit. Thank you very much for hosting us here. Thank you very much.
שלום לכולם, תודה שבאתם, אני תמיר מ-LM Toolbox, נדבר באמת רק חצי דקה, אנחנו עכשיו באמת הפרטנרים, אנחנו שותפים של LM Toolbox בארץ, אנחנו מתמחים ב-ALN, ב-SCM, עם הרבה כלים, למשל גם גיט, ג'נקינס ו-GTK. כמה דברים באמת קטנים, אז מי שרוצה, יש לנו פה גיט שיט, מי שרוצה לקחת, שיודעים כל הקומנדליין של גיט וכל מיני טיפים וטריקים, אז נניח פה את זה לשולחן מי שיוצא. יש לנו גם ניוזלטר שאנחנו התחלנו להכניס חומרים על גיט ועל גיט, על כל מיני טיפים טכניים וכו'. מי שייכנס לאתר שלנו, LMToolbox.com, פשוט להירשם. אנחנו שונאים ספאם, חושבים שזה יהיה מעניין, כאילו כדאי להירשם. וזהו, אני אשמח באמת להזמין את מנחם.
אני פה, אני פרוג'יקטה. אוקיי. אני פול צוקר, ברוכים הבאים למשרדים של נישה. אני המנכ"לית של הקבוצה. אנחנו נורא שמחים לארח אתכם. אנחנו קיימים 20 שנה. זה הרבה זמן בעולם הזה של ההייטק. לא יודעת איפה אתה היית לפני 20 שנה. ואני, פשוט, היה לי הזכות ללוות יזמים, מהנדסים וסטארט-אפים מתחילת הדרך. ואנחנו עושים את זה עד היום מאוד 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 צמוד. זה עולם מרתק ומעניין. ואנחנו בעצם עוסקים בגיוס והשמה עבור החברות האלה. ואנחנו מטפלים באנשים כמוכם ומלווים אותם לאורך כל הדרך. היופי שישראל כסטארט-אפ ניישן מציעה כל כך הרבה מאוד דברים אטרקטיביים. בנוסף לזה אנחנו לא נמצאים רק בעולם הטק הטהור, אנחנו גם נמצאים בעולם המדיקל והביומד, שהרבה מאוד חבר'ה מההייטק גם עוברים לעולם הזה. וזהו, ותהנו מההצעה.
There we go. It works. So, thank you for hosting us and all the great location and helping us set it up. We've already made one huge learning. If you set up a meetup in Israel and have 200 people or 300 people part of the meetup, 90 people registering, you can expect about 40 to come. So next time when it comes to beer, we will know better. But the good news is we have more beer than we can do. The bad news is the beer is warm. So if you like the warm beer, we have plenty of it. Hopefully later we will have some pizza. So what I will do, and I'm the kind of non-technical part from GitHub, I will give you a little bit of insight of GitHub itself, you know. And our vision and our idea was to talk about how do we within GitHub, you know, create GitHub, and maybe show you a little bit more information and an insight from our own company, hopefully with the vision and the possibility and the aspiration for you to do similar, or not everything, but at least adapt parts of this within your own business. So to adapt some of the learnings within your own company, and this can be from a non-profit small business to a large organization with thousands of software developers. Because the same principles apply ultimately to all of them. So we have 3 people here today from GitHub. Vitor, who will speak after me, Jan and myself. We're very international. So we kind of, with 3 people, we bring 6 nations with us. I'm originally from Yugoslavia, but live in Austria. We have Jan from Switzerland, living in Holland. We have Vitor, originally from Portugal, living in Great Britain. We have my computer logging off. Let's see. And this is, I think, pretty much a face that you would see across the whole organization of GitHub. But before we start and how we ended up here in Israel, let me take you on a little bit of a journey of how GitHub started. It's actually not a very old company. It was started in 2008. So there we go. In the year 2008, ages and ages ago, when we were all a little bit younger or still at uni or not, these guys in San Francisco decided to have a great startup idea that would rock the world. And it wasn't GitHub. It was something that would be something like a Facebook for family pictures kind of thing. And as developers, like to actually sit and code and not sit in expensive San Francisco cafes or restaurants to exchange code and to talk with each other, they just spun up a server, based it on Git, started uploading their code there, and tried to find a way to actually comment on each other's code and change it for each other. So their friends who were developers heard about it, and they asked to have access to the same thing as well. At the moment, Git was kind of becoming really in and taking off as a version control system. So before they knew it, their service was populated with hundreds of software developers, enthusiasts who just had exactly the same problem, who just wanted to share code and comment. Ultimately, first company started knocking on the door and said, hey, you guys don't have like a button on the side where we can pay, because we would like to pay you money so that we kind of get a private thing and nobody can see our code. And they had no idea, that's our tool that we're using, what should we charge people? And they looked around, and the first thing that somebody came up with was Dropbox. So they went over and they checked, what does Dropbox cost for an individual user if you want to pay. They copied the price of Dropbox, they put it in there, and the day when they put in the credit card on their side project thing was the creation of GitHub, really, as a company. And obviously very shortly after, they dropped their family Facebook kind of project, and they all of a sudden realized that actually many more people have the same problem of needing collaboration, of needing to host code, change code, comment code, and not necessarily have a face-to-face meeting and discuss everything step by step. So this was pretty much the moment when the whole idea and concept of social coding was born, and then GitHub was born. And this was in 2008, and I think there is just one real source of any statistics in the world, as we all know, is Google. So we did a Google query about version control systems and collaboration systems. That's from Google, and just nothing else but often some people searched. And you can see the history, the red is Subversion, the yellow is TFS, the implementation server from Microsoft, Bitbucket, one of our friendly competitors, and GitHub itself. And you see it was founded here in 2008, and then it kind of took off. So today, and fast forwarding to 2016, I prepared some stats for you, some internal stats, just to give you a bit of an idea how far we as a company or where we stand today. So the employees number is wrong, it's 570, you will see, because we will show you one of our systems live that shows you the metrics and monitoring. But we have grown to 570 people from 270 when I joined in March last year. That's more than double the size. I was, I believe, the second person who talks to companies, customers, people in Europe. We are 40 today. So it's been crazy in the past 12 months as a company. And this is partially as well why we're here today. Our vision was, or we actually realized, the company realized 1.5 to 2 years ago, is that, hold on, we do have our GitHub.com website, we do have our products, but we don't speak to people, we don't speak to companies, we don't speak to customers, we don't listen. What we create maybe in the enterprise version for a customer doesn't mean that it's actually a good thing, and we don't listen to our enterprise customers or potential customers what they would actually like to have, what functionalities they need. So the second thing was as well, why should only American companies, specifically Silicon Valley-based companies, benefit from all of this knowledge? I mean, we have a really cool headquarters in San Francisco. You've been, it's close to Market Street. It's a great location. And if you're ever there, really don't be shy, come and visit. We love having people come and drop by and having an office tour, which is, you know, could be a meetup itself just to tell you about the office, and 7 bars and hidden rooms and secret stuff. So it's really like a bit of out of a movie. And the strategy went to, let's set foot in Europe, let's listen as well to the European companies. And now in this stage today, we you know, the first wave, I would say, was UK, France, and Germany as kind of the biggest markets within Europe. And in the second wave, we've, you know, now come to Israel and started speaking to Israeli businesses and Israeli companies in general, because it's such a hub of technology and such a big place of, you know, smart people and building up amazing things, and the number of companies that have a global, you know, role to play coming from Israel is just breathtaking. So yeah, we want to come here and learn, and hopefully as well share our learnings and help here as well. Maybe something that we've learned from the US and Europe and Asia to promote it over here. 13 million users registered. Those are people who have a username and handle. You know, you don't have to actually have a username to download code from GitHub. So we have about 4 million people on our website every day. We have 15,000 new user registrations daily on the internet version. We have 75,000 companies paying to use GitHub, and thousands of universities. The Hebrew University in Jerusalem, right, is a customer and actually uses GitHub Enterprise internally. Part of our goal is as well to grow this kind of community as well within the universities and schools. So we will have kind of a separate effort on this. And ultimately we already have more than 2,500 companies using GitHub Enterprise, which is really github.com that runs for, you know, 40 million users per month, that we wrap and pack, and you can install on your own servers behind your own firewall, and actually have the same benefits of using GitHub just within your own company and within your own business, within your own tools and in your own way, shape and form, but not having to share the code, but having an actual inner source strategy, as we like to say. So you have an open source feeling within your own company, and all the benefits from open source within the company. Yeah, and I think this is also out of date. We are right now, I think, 62nd website of the entire internet, and there are 2 websites in this list that are not for the masses of end user consumers, which is you know, news, retail, Google search, the standard services that, you know, the broad masses of people use, and then you have GitHub and Stack Overflow as 2 things that are on the top 100 websites of the internet that are such a focused niche market in reality, or a niche audience. It's just developers, and it shows, one, how, you know, important developers are, but B, how many developers are there out there, and, you know, the barrier to become a developer is becoming lower and lower for everyone. And you will not believe it, but we had a inbound email coming from Israel, from a group, and I forwarded it and went up to our VP of you know, product. It was a group of kids who were between 13 and 17, and there were 16 of them, and they, you know, they were coding, and they have their own repos on GitHub, and they wanted to have stickers and something for their own internal sessions, and they have the vision to grow to, you know, they said something, they want to have 50 members in a year, and it's like, wow, those are Those are 13-year-old kids, writing us emails, coding already today and doing their things. So it's really exciting actually to watch all of this actually unfold and happen. So this is going back. That's not where we want to go. We want to go forward. So this is a screenshot that is, again, about a month old. We will look at the system. This is one of our internal systems that keeps track of all of our employees whenever they log into a system. And the one thing that, you've seen the stats before, right? So we are website number 62 today. And we run this and develop this and keep this with a team distributed all over the world. At this given time, 55% of the people were not in an office. We have 3 offices, which is San Francisco, Boulder, and Japan, that we count as offices. The rest is in their own time zone. We have people who like to come to the office, so they're fixed. We have people who work from home. That's me. I'm based in Vienna. I'm alone in Vienna. The next GitHubber is, I think, Munich or Zurich. We have people who are nomads. They don't have an address. One of my fellow countrymen from Croatia is a nomad, and he's one of our front-end developers. And you would find him sometimes here, sometimes there, sometimes there. All he needs to create his value is, and to add to this is, be smart and have a laptop and internet. That's all he needs really. And that's the whole thing that we do. On top of this that you see here, I picked a chart that is old because I'm not smart enough to run those commands in our chat ops. So Vitor will show you hopefully the actual thing. But this is the number of deploys within a week. And that particular week, more than a year ago, we deployed 200 times in 1 week. So with this team distributed across the world, with this volume on the website, we are deploying 20, 30, 40, 50, sometimes 70 times per day. A new version in production. So having said all that, the question is, what's the secret sauce? What do you need to do to maybe get a little bit closer to this? And Vitor, who we stole or who came from us from a major financial institution from the UK, and he was a developer all of his life, will tell you a little bit more about how we actually do it. Note, we internally use for everything and anything GitHub Enterprise. That's where we sit. It's on-premise private GitHub. And we kind of take it to the limits. So yeah, have fun, and I hope you'll find it interesting.
Can everyone hear me? Yes. Can you hear me there in the back? Yes. Often people say that I spoke very softly and no one can hear me, etc.
There's a microphone, right?
That's fine. I'll try. If you don't hear me, just let me know. Whatever here is fine. So thanks again for having us. Thank you for the facility, and thank you for organizing. The secret is, and I'll spoil the whole presentation, is being effective, especially in communication and collaboration. And I'll try to show how we achieve that for a company that is 50% remote. Right? Most teams, like I can tell you that the GitHub desktop team that does GitHub for Windows and Visual Studio Extension, they are 12 and they don't share a single regional location. So they're completely distributed. They cannot, 2 of them cannot contact if they don't take a plane somewhere else. So it's really impressive. That's the desktop. So a bit about me. I've been a developer all my life, especially front-end in the beginning. I've started working in healthcare in Portugal. So I worked for healthcare IT for a long time. It was a startup, and we changed the way hospitals exchange information from a form-based application to an action script kiosk-based application. It was amazing for the hospitals, like people touching screens, seeing the X-ray going from one side to the other. But I thought that working on healthcare and seeing white papers of hospitals serving many more people and feeling like I was really helping people in hospitals, I thought I should do something even more for the well-being of society. So I went to London to work for an investment bank, which is not what you do in this situation, obviously. But it was one of the best professional things I've ever done in my life. It was a brilliant team and brilliant project. And this is where I started using GitHub in 2010, GitHub Enterprise. And it changed so much the way I work, from being a base level engineer to being an engineering lead in a very big teams distributed around the world, that I became immediately a super fan. Probably I spent the first 2 years or 3 years using GitHub without even really appreciating the product. Because when you use something like your phone that you use every day, or Wi-Fi that you use it every day, but you use it to make calls, so you talk to someone, you use it to go somewhere, and you move in the street with a map, you only feel like it's not there when someone takes it away, or it's missing, like Wi-Fi or something else. And
Like I lost my phone this morning, actually, it's a true
he
story.
lost his phone this morning. Nice story, you should call it. So after a while, you can see how some product just enables you to do your job. And in my whole career, I can say that I've only experienced this to this level with 2 products. And one was GitHub, and the other one was Google Chrome, and the Chromium story behind the developer tools and now the native applications, etc. So, I don't know what the next slide is. Okay, yeah. So what's the biggest change for me as someone that was an engineering lead in a very large development project, code reviewing every day, to become a solutions engineer? So as a solutions engineer in the UK, I visit enterprise customers that need to adopt GitHub Enterprise. But obviously these customers are using SEM, they're using ClearCase, they're using IBM RTC, and it's not that they're going to just unplug that and plug GitHub Enterprise and they're okay with it. There's a very big process of architectural design, and I help customers with that. So what do you think was the biggest change for me coming from an engineering lead to become a GitHub solutions engineer? If anyone want to take a guess? No? Volunteers? What do you think was the biggest change? No? The biggest change was becoming remote. Because that was my main fear with the role change. It was not, I knew I was going to love my role, and I do, and I've been doing it for a year. But I've worked 10 years in an office, and now they're telling me that I'm going to work from home, and I'm really not sure how I will deal with that. And hopefully GitHub, very nicely, because obviously they're saving a lot of money for not giving me a chair in an office location. It's very helpful. They do help you set up a home office. So I live in London. If you guessed that this is my home office, you guessed right. This is the home office I've always dreamt of, but I live in London. We have a problem that we call real estate, and the square meters of property in London is really bad. So I love my office. It's roughly a square meter, but it's a very cozy square meter. So the problem is I cannot even call it my office, because this laptop that you see here, it's this one with less stickers, but it's the same one, warms up a lot powering the monitor. So my cat found that out, and he basically spends the whole day there. So when he's standing up, I cannot see the left side of the monitor. Sometimes I'm in calls with customers and I'm doing this because I want to look at the window and I cannot see it. But that's it. So now on a serious aspect, how is it really different? So the good is that you're working from home, you have much more focus. I feel like I've always been a very social person, so I'm very easily distracted on an office setting. So if someone walks by and says, hey, let's get a coffee. And we go and we chat, and that's awesome. But it's also very distracting, so I can see that I do much more when working. You have your setup, you have your timing. You can go, I go for example for the gym in the morning because it's empty, instead of having to go at 7 p.m. when it's like 200 people in there, so there's a lot of benefits. My favorite one, who has been in London? Right? So I'm not sure if you ever were courageous enough to try and go to a tube at 8 a.m., but this is the Northern Line, and this is the line I took to work every day. And this is just a random morning. So this is the worst part of my life when I work at UBS, is to commute every day. So if you ever have the ambition of living in London, don't. Like, I've been in Tel-Aviv for 5 days, and I can tell it's a much nicer place. So if you want to live in a box and experience this every morning, especially in summer, which is horrible, try it out, but I recommend Tel-Aviv for my personal experience. So what's the bad? So I've worked in an office for 10 years, and now I'm thinking, when I worked in this investment bank, working from home was not a good thing. Like you work from home, potentially you had works on the house, you had something like that. But people usually say, "Oh, where is Vitor or Marko?" It's they're working from home. Like it's not. Sorry. It's not very well perceived, and I was afraid of somehow being a step back because I'm not in HQ. So I've read this in Remote, which was a book that I've read before I joined GitHub from 7 Signals. They also wrote New Work, two very good books. And a sentence that caught my eye, and I'll never forget it, is if you can't evaluate someone by the time they get and leave to work, how else would you evaluate someone? Any guesses? Someone must have a guess here. Sorry?
By the amount of work they actually do.
Yeah, exactly. Which should be the way we evaluate people, right?
Bingo!
But unfortunately, it's not like that. I remember working in this bank, and I remember conversation at 10 a.m. Oh, person X only arrived now. Person X is leaving late. So we don't have that problem. And I knew GitHub would be different in that sense. And the reason I knew it would be different is from what Marko just showed, which is our live team app. And you can see there's 4 people there in Tel-Aviv, which is the 3 of us and
Tal is our, well, that's the beauty of using GitHub actually. And I don't want to spoil any of the presentation, but our chief legal officer is from Israel, from Tel Aviv. She lives now in San Francisco, where she's visiting her family. And because we use GitHub for everything and everybody has view to everything, she realized that this whole trip is taking place and helped us connect with people, connected us with some of her ex-friends from the military, so it was great actually. So it's just one of the benefits. It just makes us so much more efficient by collaborating. So Tal is in Tel Aviv now.
So I knew GitHub was different because GitHub was one of the companies that I always knew it was what they called in their blogs remote first. So what does it mean to really be remote first? When you hire at GitHub, you look for a position. First and foremost, it can be service from anywhere around the world. And what do we gain from this? I'll explain in a second. So the other thing is, when you think about your peers, when you think about communicating with someone, you straight away assume that that person is not going to be at your arm's reach. So it's very way in the different from an office, for example. If everyone is in this room, you have a completely different mindset of how you communicate to people. So remote is not always geographic. Remote, for example, when I worked in London, sometimes could be collaborating with something that is the building next to you. So sometimes it's a floor, sometimes it's that building over there, sometimes it's a city, it's a country. But this applies to a lot of levels of geographic distance. So what does GitHub really take away from this? So great talent is everywhere, right? And I see that in London, where it's completely saturated with demand and not enough developers. And at some point, you just exhaust the natural resources, in this case human beings, of a given region. And by GitHub doing this, it allows people to get the best talent everywhere. Let's imagine that the best Ruby on Rails developers lives in Nepal, right? And he lives in a mountain, he has a 3G dongle, and he codes from Nepal. So if he's the best Ruby on Rails developers, why shouldn't we have him? Just because he doesn't want to live in a travel city like San Francisco. That's where we can get the best talent. We really believe in this, that we can only build an inclusive product like GitHub if you have people from all kind of communities, religions, backgrounds, social economic backgrounds working on the product. Because if 100 people from San Francisco wrote GitHub, it would be a product made by San Franciscans to San Franciscans. It wouldn't be a product made to Europeans, Asians, or people from other cultures. So these 5 products that we have from being remote first are really great. And coverage, for example, enterprise support, we really don't need to be worried about downtime or late night hours, because as you saw in that diagram, we work around the clock. So in that sense, there's always someone awake to continue the work from the other peers. So this whole ramble, like the remote, the diversity, the fact that we're 55% remote as the data show live, changes the whole way we work. And how do we do, and the data, I think if I run the command now last week, and I'll show you that, I think it was 400 deploys in a week. How do we achieve that when people like the desktop team are not, no one shares a physical location. So I think we have a very unique way to work, and I think that's, for example, that's one of my favorite components of this job. So we have chat, which it's optional and laid back. It's either, and I'll show this in the end, it's either for social engagements, people are away, they need to chat, they need to laugh at something, and we use chat for that. Sometimes chat is very important. But contrary to other chat systems, I can spend a week without looking at chat. I don't get distracted until someone mentions me, until someone says Vitor, and then I look at chat. So it's very focused, and there's a lot of information. And you can, if you want, you can search back the whole history of our chat. So GitHub, as I'll show, is pretty much where we do everything. This is how we manage the company, and this is what we wanted to show. The patterns that we employ for software development, and I imagine most of you here have used GitHub to do a feature and to develop a piece of software. If you think of it, other artifacts like documentation, process, blogs, websites, pages, even if we're just talking about the editorial content, all of those can go through the same pattern of collaboration and code review. The end artifact doesn't always need to be code. So a tool that I maybe like even more than GitHub is Help, which is something we develop internally. And it's the GitHub flavor for external collaboration. And I won't talk much about this because I want to show you exactly how it works. But you wonder, like, where is email in this scenario? So we have a bunch of niche tools. So on the niche tools, I would say the sales team uses Salesforce, the operational team uses Haystack to detect deployment issues in real time. We use Jenkins, which is a patch version of Jenkins as our build system. We use metrics, and I'll show, that's the graph Marko was showing, and Gmail. So Gmail is a niche tool at GitHub. And why do you think Gmail is a niche tool at GitHub? So I know I don't have sound. 1 second. I don't have sound in there, but hopefully I can get this loud enough. So why don't we use email more? Oh, how do I do it?
Let's keep this.
Nope.
There are some speakers down there as well.
Let's see if this works. If it doesn't work, I'll just...
Maybe you just have to turn it on as well. There is a blue light down there. And then try to play it because it's not
Maybe.
Turn on the volume on YouTube itself.
Oh, yeah, that's true. No, I'll just use my phone. So, going back to the beginning.
Business practices that refuse to die. Number 44. Email. Let's keep this simple. You need to make a decision, but need the input from 4 team members. So you draft an email and send it to the team. Person number 1 replies to all. So does person number 2. But 3 and 4 only reply back to you. In addition, unbeknownst to you, person number 4 emails person number 5 who thinks they should have a say in the decision as well. Person number 5 replies to everyone. You gather all the feedback and send a synopsis back out to everyone. You also receive emails from persons number 1 and 2 asking why number 5 was included in on the discussion. You reply back to them that, although not ideal, it'll be okay. Person number 5 also forwarded the email to person number 6 who, at this time, also replied to all, but didn't get the last email. So, to include her, you forward her the last email and CC everyone else just to let them know that person number 6 was in on the discussion too. You now email everyone with the final decision and what they're buying. Person number 6 asks for one small change. You agree, make the change, and email everyone again for an agreement. Everyone emails you that they agree. By the end of this madness, 61 emails have been sent to make one decision. That certainly is not collaboration at its finest.
So who has experience of playing with this? It's awesome, isn't it? Like, we just love this, right? So this is why we don't use email. It's simple. I think it's obvious, right? So how do we work when we need to get to these decisions and how do we really go about it. And I would ask if like social media pictures on this time don't post it, because I'm going to show a lot of internal stuff for GitHub. So, questions?
So you have mentioned the glue between the systems. So we're dealing with this problem between the glue between Jenkins and so now we can see on Jenkins which commits are coming into a specific version, but we also want to, for example, for Jenkins to send back some information to GitHub or...
So we do that. I'm not sure if there's a plugin for do that, but you can use the Jenkins API. If Jenkins has a webhook API the same way as GitHub does, and I imagine they do, or else we wouldn't be able to do that as well without polling the whole of Jenkins every 5 minutes or so. You can just use Slack.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just have a bot, and you can use HuBot that is hooking up to the Jenkins webhook API, and every single pull request that triggers, you can have HuBot type in the chat channel what's the result of that status, and then you can apply some kind of logic. For example, if we did that in all the channels, like there would be only CI reports. So for example, Ops tracks Ops, Infra, and 5 projects. For example, Solutions Engineering only reports on Solutions Engineering. So then you can have mapping of this channel is only interested in jobs from this project and this project and this project. So you don't have all the channels with all the projects. But it's a matter of writing either a HuBot script or another third-party service that sits between Slack and Jenkins that's listening for push events from Jenkins, and then that bot is using the Slack API to do a chat comment. You usually need a bot, but also you need someone's user account to do the comment. Is that okay? More questions?
Okay.
There's a question.
How about the architecture inside the GitHub?
In terms of
Inside GitHub, the architecture.
the whole stack?
Yeah, the servers. I need to have so many repos.
Okay, so we own our own data centers. We don't use, we have very pumped up hardware distributed across the US to deal with a load of 4 million users. We have the internal rule that says it's only ready when it's fast. So we have very strict benchmarks for speed at GitHub. It's born with the culture of the company. In terms of stack, if you want to know the technologies, our front end is all Ruby on Rails. The founders created GitHub to share most of their Ruby libraries, and they were massive on the Ruby community. I think GitHub is a big Ruby shop. Then we use everything from Nginx on the web server. We use HA proxy for some things, especially in enterprise. On the back end, you'll see MySQL, Elasticsearch, Redis, Git. Obviously, we have Git has 12 core contributors. We employ 2. So we have a lot of knowledge of how Git works internally. We just shipped Spokes, which was called dgit before, and it's the first solution to use Git as a distributed, Git is a distributed versioning control systems, but we wrote an extension of Git to make it resilient across a consistency rate. Like now, we wrote Spokes or dgit because before, for us to replicate the github.com repos, that was a data level replication technique. And now we basically pick up the concepts of Git, and when you push to a Git repository in .com, Spokes comes in and pushes to another 4 locations, distinct locations, and it keeps track of the resilience state of a given repo. So if a server goes down, Spokes knows exactly which repositories were down and pushes more Git repos. The beauty of this is that this is using Git. It's all Git servers. So we didn't have to reinvent or do kind of the data layer type of replication of doing block device replication or RIDE or anything like that. It still uses Git. So with that, we might go to commodity servers because it uses vanilla technology. So who knows, maybe one day we don't even have our own data centers. There's no plans to do that. We still have them. We kind of support 4 million users a day, so it's a big deal to have control of the boxes, the quality of the boxes, etc. For example, I know Netflix, I think it's Netflix, they spin up, I don't know if you've read this, they spin up like 3,000 AWS boxes and then benchmark every single virtual machine and only keep the ones that are ahead of their benchmarks, because not all VMs are created equal. So that's the kind of problems that we don't have at GitHub, because it's a lot of work. But again, if you want to see how the data center is looking, we have a HuBot command that has a camera pointed at our rack, and it shows a picture, a live picture of our rack.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So if we want to show, if we want to see if your data center is on fire, there's a command to see if it's on fire or not on fire. Because you would be surprised that fires in data centers are extremely common. So that's not an expression. Sometimes the data center is on fire. That happened to us at least once. Any more questions?
Unless there's a DDoS, which is also another...
Yeah, unless there's a big country that just wants us to bring this down.
Is GitHub.com is the deployment of the master branch of GitHub Enterprise?
No. So GitHub, the project you saw, is our core project. That is the core app. That's the Rails app that obviously has dependencies for databases like Elasticsearch for indexing and search, MySQL for issues, pull requests, and the Git storage. GitHub Enterprise packages those servers into a Linux-based box and adds integrations for things like LDAP, SAML, monitoring, reporting, audit logging, and all the kind of things that companies that need software in the house can survive without. So the identity management, the monitoring, custom certificates, all of that. But it's basically, we pick up, it was before it was Ubuntu, now it's Debian, we strip it down of everything, we install the bare minimum that the box needs to run with, and then we put all the software. So in terms of security patches, we release one every 2 weeks or 3. It doesn't need to be a security vulnerability. The reason why we weren't beaten by Heartbleed and the 2 major Git issues in April this year is because we keep our libraries up to date every 2 weeks. So if OpenSSL has a new stable version, we ship that in 2 weeks time. So if someone discovers a vulnerability in OpenSSL from version 5 months ago, that's not an issue for us. We run a security bounty, so we pay people a lot of money to find bugs in our system, and we're happy to continue doing so because people really try very hard to exploit our system. And if it's a decent bug, we pay $3,000, $4,000 for vulnerability that we will find in our system. So we ask users to kind of find holes in our system. Any questions?
I have a rhetoric question. So who of you has a GitHub account? Like, okay. And who of you is using GitHub at work? No, it's a GitHub question, right? So, and who of you is using like Subversion or TFS at work, for instance? So it's interesting to see because I've been asking these questions, in different countries, and it's very often the very same answer. Like most people tend to choose the kind of product and adapt the industry standards that are the best right now. Because it's very easy to switch, right? You move from WhatsApp to Viber, or vice versa, or whatever is the best at the moment. That's what you switch to. Companies take significantly longer to adapt this, and it's been quite an interesting last 1.5 years for us here, where we were speaking to different companies, and the only way to explain it is like Star Wars. Every planet, every country is like its own planet, and every company is like its own funny species that has like different requirements and things and different things they do, and it really varies on when you walk in of what they tell you, where you see and compare obviously with all the other clients that we have. And on some of them, you just literally think, guys, if you don't change something, you're like on a system from 15 years ago. Somebody is going to eat you for breakfast, and probably it's going to be a small startup with a handful of people. And then, and these guys have like 10, 12, 15,000 software developers globally, and a huge cost associated with it. And then there are companies who actually are totally really on top of it, and they really react and adapt and test and drive new things. So for me, it's been really exciting to see in Europe, both the extremes. So from companies who implement GitHub Enterprise, who have, for instance, a completely freedom of choice of tools for the developers, who are hiring 1,000 developers per year, for instance, for growth, and they use GitHub as a main recruiting tool because people know how to use it. Like all of you know how to use it, and the enterprise version is exactly the same. So whoever comes in is a plug-and-play employee and likes to use it most likely. Ultimately, if you think a developer spends, or anybody, how much percent of the time that we're consciously awake do we spend at work? 80, 70, depends where you work. And then imagine you're a developer and you're spending in a terrible system. So you have 70% of your time, of your conscious life, spending in something that you're actually not happy with. And so it's, for us here as well, it's a little bit learning to see, where do you stand right now? What do you have? What are your challenges? Is there anything you could share with us? So, we can do this now. We can do this later over the warm beer, in whatever way. But yeah, that's, and especially as well, if you have any questions on maybe how you as a company could move, to where you are privately today, then let's talk and maybe we can help.
I'll give a t-shirt to anyone who's still using SCSS. So anyone don't buy it. Is anyone using? Yes. SCSS? No? Good. I have some customers that are still using. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.